Thank you. I'm Angela Seals. I'm the Executive Director of the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region. I'm so pleased to welcome you to the Level Up Creative Sector Summit. This is the first time we've done a half-day conference connecting business leaders, regional leaders, elected officials, and of course our creative sector in all of its eclectic glory to explore what the arts mean to our city today, our region today, and to our collective future. We've got a really strong lineup planned for you today. I'm so glad you chose to spend your afternoon with us because there are some incredible speakers, some incredible sessions, and so many interesting people registered. We're expecting about 130 people, so you can shoot them all looks as they come in late, and that's okay, because it's an arts event, and we all know we come and go on our own time, right? Right. I also want to tell you how pleased we are as the Cultural Office to be able to do this work. We are your local arts agency for El Paso and Teller counties. We're in our 19th year, and I'm in my 12th in different roles with the organization, and it's really an organization that dedicates itself to being a champion of our diverse creative community as part of our region's identity and economy. And we're going to be looking at both today. Did I hear a yes? Identity and economy? Yes. Yes, both identity and economy. And we're going to be looking at that today throughout the program. And we do that through service, connection, and advocacy for the arts. A lot of you are here because you're our partners, or because you're creatives in all different sectors. And I have someone who embodies a lot of that today that I'm going to bring on stage in just a second. But first, I want to say we have a couple special guests who are joining us today, several elected officials. Mayor Yemi Mobolade will be joining us on stage in just a moment. And we have city council members of Colorado Springs City Council, Roland Rainey Jr. and Kimberly Gold. So please make sure that you say hello to them and speak to them today as they come to sit alongside us in this exploration this afternoon. I also want to thank Pikes Peak Community Foundation for being our gold sponsor of the first Creative Sector Summit. And yes. And our silver sponsors, who are UCCS, University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, the B. Vredenberg Foundation, and Alpine Bank. Let's give them a round of applause. And now I'm going to bring on that special guest. Please join me in welcoming to the stage entrepreneur, founder, musician, a person who chose to move here to Colorado Springs and inspire us all, Terry Josiah Sharp.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Terry
Hello.
Josiah.
Hi.
We were just welcoming everyone here, and I think we need to find out who's out here with us today. Because
Nice.
I can kind of see them, but I want to hear them a little bit more.
Yes, this is the Sector Summit, correct?
This is the Creative
Sector Summit. So if we have any creators that are visual creators, just put your hand up real quick, or make a little noise.
Visual artists.
Love it,
How
love
about
it.
performing artists? If you identify
Performing
as part
artists,
of our,
yes, I love that. We love that so
dance,
much.
I see music.
Are there digital artists?
Okay.
Not
Yes.
as many, but that's all right. That's okay. We still appreciate you all.
We have a lot of advertising, marketing, design folks because
yes.
AAF's Colorado Springs is part of
amazing.
today.
Nice. Love that.
Small
Love that.
businesses who are in creative small
Come
businesses.
on. I love that.
So entrepreneurial, our sector. Love it.
Yes, it's so amazing.
And of course, our arts nonprofits.
Yes.
All right, who's here from our arts
Nonprofits and arts,
Thank you so
love
much.
it.
And there's one other very important group, and that's those of us who are here because you partner with the creative sector.
Or support.
Support the creative
Yes.
sector. Are friends with the
Yes,
creative
or
sector.
friends with.
Yes,
That should be
yes.
everybody's
Thank
hand,
you,
right?
friends.
We all support each other.
Thank you
That's
so
why
much
we're
for being
here.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I love that so much.
Well, since we're all celebrating identities, and I was just telling them, Terry Josiah, that it's important that we remember the arts, creativity is part of the identity of this place, and it always has been.
Absolutely.
And we wanted to feature you right up front because recently the city of Colorado Springs commissioned Terry Josiah to write the anthem for Olympic City, USA. Right? Right? They commissioned a local artist and creator to create a new work to become the theme song of Colorado Springs. And we think that says a lot about the leadership of our city right now,
Yes.
about the character of our city right now, and about the kind of talent that they can commission if they would like to, right?
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to turn the stage over now to Terry Josiah so that he can open the summit with the Olympic City USA anthem.
Thank you so much. It has been an honor to be able to do this for the city. I think as creators who live in their region, they're always seen as local. So wherever you live, if you live in LA, you're seen as local. And so being here in Colorado Springs, Olympic City, USA, as a local creator, it has been a privilege and honor to be able to write this and share it with you all and share it with the entire city. Hey, you know what? Let's just run this. So Colorado Springs, can we make a little bit of noise right now? Can we make a little bit of noise right now? Angela, thank you again so much. As she said, my name is Terry Josiah Sharp. I am a proud transplant from San Diego, California. But here in Colorado Springs, do you know why it is called Olympic City, USA? This is where champions are made, home to Team USA and 26 other national governing bodies of the Olympic organizations. United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee as well. We are the standard of excellence. And it's not just the altitude, it's the attitude, you all. Like, we get to breathe gold because in Olympic City, USA, greatness is not just reserved for athletes. It is for the creatives as well. We get to breathe it, we get to live it. And this song is a reminder that your voice and your art can create and shape a legacy in a city such as this. In the height of the Rockies, where the eagles soar, there's a place of pride and honor that we call home, where dreams are born and legends rise, the gold and silver bronze unite, and you can touch the sky. Where we at?
Olympic City!
The city of champions. It's Olympic City, where Olympians come to win. And won't you find us in Olympic City, the city of champions. In Olympic City, where Olympians come to win. Thank you all so much. Again, my name is Terry Josiah.
Thank you so much, Terry Josiah. You know, I said it really says a lot when we are commissioning new work to be the proud identity of our city. And I'm so looking forward to exploring today how the arts are woven through the economy and identity of the city of Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak regions today and our future. I said it says a lot about our leadership, and now it's my great honor to introduce Mayor Blessing Yemi Mobolade, the 42nd mayor of Colorado Springs. Yeah. Mayor Yemi has a background, as a lot of you know, as a small business leader, as well as many other incredible identities that make him special as our mayor right now. So he understands, as those of you who all raised your hand, that you're part of small business. And when he was working with the City of Colorado Springs Small Business Development Administrator role, he established tools that you can still use today. COSOpenforbiz.com and Permit Partner. Those are both really great tools and part of the legacy that he's already built before he even took office as our mayor. During his administration so far, he has proven to be a great listener and collaborator, and he believes in creatives. as part of our innovative future. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Mayor Yemi Mobolade.
It's so good to see you all. How's everybody doing? Well, one of my most proudest identity in this moment is I'm a proud former board member of COPPR. And it's, Angela Seals and I go way back. And it's been an honor and a joy to watch the evolution of her leadership, which I know everyone in this room, including me, was just great fans of. Yeah, let's give it up for Angela. I think that's, yeah. Well, truly, Angela, it's an honor to be here at the Level Up Creative Sector Summit, and I'm honored to stand in a room full of badass artists. I see you, visionaries, innovators, and truly, thank you all for making time to be here today. Just last night, I had the honor of meeting and spending time with the Sundance board chair, Ebbs Burnau, and the vice chair, Gigi Pritzker. Both of them accomplished creatives themselves. My time with them last night was a great reminder that creativity is not just a luxury. It's an essential infrastructure for any thriving city. Creativity is the soul of our community. It tells our stories. It shapes our identity. It challenges the status quo and dares us to dream, to imagine something better. You see, in a time where division and noise are everywhere, creativity is how we make meaning and how we make progress. When I was younger, painting gave me an escape, a way to process the pain of feeling like a misfit and express what words couldn't. Learning to play the guitar and to sing on stage gave me the confidence to step into the spotlight and to find my voice. And yes, launching 2 small businesses, the Wild Goods Meeting House and Good Neighbors Meeting House, gave me the joy of building spaces where creativity and community intersect and come alive. These early seeds of creativity didn't just shape who I was. They gave me the courage to imagine and take risks, the conviction to act, and the heart to build something meaningful that serves others. Those are the same skills that I brought to the mayor's office, because I believe in Colorado Springs, yes, we are investing in our roads, bridges, and in public safety and in our parks. But make no mistake about it, we're also investing in people, in culture, and in a creative pulse that makes this city feel like home. Our creative sector fuels tourism. Doug, I see you. It attracts top talent and tells a story of who we are as a community, as you're soon about to learn with our next speaker. It is how we solve problems with imagination. It's how we build businesses with heart and design public spaces where people feel seen, inspired, and connected. Creativity, yes, is an industry, but truly it is a soul of this city. And that's why, as your mayor, I am committed to supporting our creative economy, because when we invest in artists and creative businesses, we're also investing in stronger neighborhoods, vibrant downtowns, and a city where innovation thrives and culture flourishes. But none of this happens without a strong backbone and a dedicated group of servant leaders who wake up every morning and go to bed every night carrying the mission and the burden of championing our creative economy. So, to my friends at the Culture Office of the Pikes Peak region, under the passionate leadership of Executive Director Angela Seals, alongside Dylan Craddock program manager for a creative economy, and the entire COPPR team, board members and partners, I see you and I thank you. Thank you for breathing life into this vision, for your tireless work behind the scenes, and for elevating the creative spirit that makes Colorado Springs not just a great place to live, but a great place to thrive. So let's give it up for them. So friends, it's time. It's time to lean in. It's time to learn boldly. And it's time to level up together. And there's no better person to help kick off our time together than one of our community's finest, Dr. Tatiana Bailey. Dr. Bailey will explore how creativity and economic development intersect, which we love at the city, and why bold thinking is essential for long-term prosperity. So let's give it up for my friend, Dr. Tatiana Bailey. Thank you.
Sorry. Well, you saw me dancing anyway. I do also know how to sing. I was almost a music major, almost. Voice major. I had a partial scholarship. I wasn't good enough for a full scholarship. And then I became an economist, which is kind of strange, right? So with all that, I'd like to say thank you for having me here today. I really do have a special place in my heart for the arts. My dad, who is very elderly now, lives with us and we take care of him, was a mariachi singer for decades in the Washington, D.C. area. He sang at the White House numerous times, met Clinton, the Bushes, Obama. It's actually pretty incredible and has an amazing, amazing voice. I did almost follow in his footsteps, but I have to say I love what I do. I think about it every day. You know, my life could have been very different, but in some ways this is an interesting balance because, you know, everything contributes to the economy, right? And I love connecting the dots, and that's actually what I'm going to try to do for you here today. Is connect the dots to talk about how important the arts industry is, and I really, in my heart of hearts, believe that. So I'm going to jump right in, and that was actually a CalArts track. My son, that's another reason it's close to my heart, arts are close to my heart, that he went to CalArts and he just graduated, and his name is Rory Glassford. And he is actually he was a jazz major, has an incredible voice, guitar is his main thing, and so forth. So I think we're supposed to be able to advance slides. There we go. Okay, so DDES is a nonprofit that we started about 2.5 years ago. It is dedicated to economic reporting and workforce development, and even though we're only 2.5 years old, we have a lot of sponsors locally, including COPPR, which we're very proud of. So a sincere thanks. I think Doug Price is also here, and his office supports us. We're very, very fortunate. And as I said, we do a lot with economic reporting and workforce development. We focus on underserved communities, but you know, I have to say we're doing work all over the state now. And when you stop and think about it, workforce development is important, of course, in all industries, but it's a central theme in what I'm going to talk about today, believe it or not. And this is what our monthly economic reports look like. Couple more pages than this. But if you're interested in getting on that mailing list, let me know. So what am I going to talk about today? A peek at the global and U.S. economies, Colorado economy, state and local GDP, and the labor market. Arts as an economic engine at a national level, including the labor market. Arts and culture in Colorado and Pikes Peak region, Colorado Springs. Impacts on GDP. Impacts on employment and taxation. A little bit of talk about artificial intelligence. It's kind of the elephant in the room. And then federal funding. Okay. So bear with me. The first few slides, I'm going to talk about global and U.S. macroeconomic picture. But again, I'm going to tie it back to the arts. Okay, so over the next decade, according to the conference boards, this goes all the way through 2040, the global economy is projected to grow less than it has in past decades. And there are 4 reasons for that. Primarily because, especially in developed economies like ours, we're going to have a shrinking labor force, right? We have fewer people, and that's because birth rates are lower and so forth. Only Africa has positive growth between now and 2050. There are implications there for migration. Latin America, moderate to low population growth. Number 3, climate and geopolitical headwinds are also a factor because they are inflationary. And number 4, the bright spots are digital transformation, like AI, and new innovations, like green energy. Now, the part that I've circled there is actually the labor contribution, the number of people, so you can see how it's shrinking. And this is as measured by GDP, which is gross domestic product. It's basically all the goods and services, including the arts industry. Okay, what about the US? You can see the picture is similar. It's also, we have diminishing labor quantity. Ours is mostly because of baby boomers, just like the other developed economies. Most people don't realize that every single day we have 11,000 new retirees in the United States. 11,000, okay? So keep that in mind as I keep talking. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the harsh impact of demographics. We are in the middle, in the top graph, US, right? 20 years ago, the US had 5.4 working people per every retired person. Now it's 3.5 workers per retiree. In 2033, it's going to be 2.9, okay? So you can see how quickly it's diminishing. So each year, we would need 4.6 million new workers in the US between now and 2033 just to stay where we are today at 3.5 workers per retiree. 4.6 million additional workers, okay? Not just people, but workers, okay? So in migration, there's no question it has to be necessary. And my own thing is, let's figure it out. Let's create streamlined, legal, orderly processes for the type of migration that we need. Now, of course, a lot of the reason, as I said, lower fertility rates, you can see in the bottom right there, that dotted line, that's replacement level fertility, 2.1. And the United States is at 1.6, okay? And most other developed countries you can see are well below. Now, what about some of the headwinds? Well, I think we all at least somewhat know about this, okay? Even if you don't like watching the news, which most of us don't. Our debt is now at 34 trillion, okay? So it's about this, a little bit higher than our annual GDP. Our interest payments alone are 1 trillion a year, and that's more than military expenditures, okay? And of course, this deficit is years of spending more than we're bringing in. But what I think a lot of people don't realize is that most of these expenditures are mandatory. If you look at the top one up there, look at Social Security and Medicare. That's almost 40% of the debt. Sorry, the DOGE cuts don't do anything. They really don't. We can't change the demographics. So as we continue to age, 11,000 new retirees a year, those expenditures are only going to increase. So what do you have to do? You have to increase the revenue side. You have to know how to bring in a stronger tax base, right, to cover these expenditures. Oh, okay. And then this is actually one of my favorite charts. We can blame both the Democrats and the Republicans for the increase in our debt. Highest percentage increase, Barack Obama and Ronald Reagan. So there you have it. But the main thing here is, look at what I've written there. This crowds out other investments. If we're paying so much in debt and debt servicing through interest, aren't we crowding out education, subsidies in childcare? What about the arts, right? We are also crowding out the arts. Now, another headwind we've been talking a lot about are tariffs. I'm quickly just going to mention here that most people don't realize the effective trade-weighted tariff rate that we've had in the United States has been between 3% and 5%. It's really not that high. And even if we stay exactly where we are today and no additional tariffs come, we're now between 14% and 18%. So I don't see how that's not going to be inflationary to some extent. All right. And then here you can see it's a little bit light on the other bars. There's a difference between the deficit, trade deficit with a country, and the tariff. The deficit has to do with how much are you importing and how much are you exporting. And the main reason that the deficit is high with specific countries is because we import a lot from those countries. And that's not that unusual. It's also because we're a wealthier country, so we can afford to import more. We did more manufacturing through industrialization 180, 50 years ago and so forth. But this is kind of a reality of a developed nation. Now, tourism counts as an export, okay? Positive contribution to GDP, and arts-related services within the US also count as a positive contribution towards GDP. So keep that in mind. And then the last long-term headwind I'm going to mention here is the wealth gap. The top 1% had 31% of the total wealth in the United States at the end of 2024, and the bottom 50% had 2.5% of the total wealth. That's not sustainable. I can't find an economist who thinks that's sustainable long-term. And remember, even if you're a Vulcan and you don't think that there's, any equity issues there, capitalism itself, by definition, relies on consumerism. And arts are a big part of consumerism, as I will talk about. Okay, so just with this backdrop, here's some takeaways when I think about the arts industry, creative industries. There's a demographic transition going on, and it's in all mature economies. But people with highly desired and demanded skills will have a comparative advantage. Because think about it, if you've got fewer people, isn't it that much more likely that you can also distinguish yourself, right? The creative industries and associated skills are highly desired, but artists must educate themselves on technological change and the desired skills within their industries and be ahead of those trends. I italicized ahead because I think it's important to know beforehand. You can't react to it. It's moving too quickly. Level up, there you go. Artists must work with the technological change. Artists must distinguish themselves. And this includes being savvy on how they've distinguished themselves and how to market that, right? And their talents. AI is undoubtedly creating a new normal in most industries, not just the arts. I think about it as an economist. I'm a singing economist. That's my distinguishment, okay? There you go. Colorado State. Let's look at this. US, let's start here. All right, so GDP. You can see how it's projected to decline. Don't think we're going to see a recession this year, but definitely we're not at the higher levels than we have been in the past. And a lot of that, I have a lot of slides on this, but I'll just recap for you. TB forecasts are lower for GDP due to inflation headwinds, lower consumer and business sentiment, how are consumers and businesses feeling. Aging demographic, which I've talked about, less in migration because we need those workers, lower tourism, and the debt levels, okay? Now the contributions to GDP, have you all ever heard that about 2/3 of GDP is consumerism, right? People going out and buying. In the first quarter of this year, look at how small that component was, okay? Because consumers are not as confident. And this impacts the arts because the arts is considered a discretionary item. In other words, an extra, right? Now, what about Colorado and Colorado Springs? Those are the colored lines there. You can see that most of the time the state of Colorado has outperformed the nation. It's no longer the case. Now, I talk a lot about that in my longer presentations that are econ focused, but there's something going on here, and I'll elucidate in a second. Office of State Planning and Budgeting has a 50% probability of recession that they are forecasting right now. Now, the monthly unemployment rates, they're low. So this substantiates what I was saying with the demographic transition. Even when things are starting to get a little bit shaky in the economy, most people aren't losing their jobs. Why? Because we don't have enough workers, right? The other thing I was just going to say here is look at how the unemployment rate on the right is a little bit higher for Colorado and El Paso County than it is for the U.S. That's not usually the case. That's the first time that that's happened since I've lived here, and I've lived here 11 years. Okay, and then here you can see the leveling off of the job growth in the state of Colorado. Now, what are the largest sectors in Colorado? Healthcare and social assistance, also true for the US, also true for Colorado Springs. Professional and technical, because we got a lot of smart people here, second most educated state in the nation, and accommodation and food, which is tourism related also, right? And here you can see the projections for lower employment in the state of Colorado, and that's in the context of more people, higher population, okay? So that's how I also know that the Colorado economy is slowing down. Okay, and then here, this is actually a little hard to see, but Colorado is at less than 0.5 projected employment growth, and in March of 2025, we actually ranked 46th. We've always been top 10. Now, I don't think the Colorado economy is completely falling off. We're just kind of starting to follow the trends of the US. We're not growing as rapidly as we had before. A lot of it has to do with population. Look at how the population growth rate has changed in the United States, or in Colorado. You can see how we were, growing at 2-3% before, and now we're at about 0.5%. By 2050, we're projected to have 7.5 million people. Most of our growth is in migration, the blue part there. And the main thing I'm going to say here, of course, housing affordability plays into this. But quality of life also plays into this. How desirable are you, right, in terms of where you want to live? Also, El Paso County has now surpassed Denver County in terms of population. Not the MSA, not the greater area yet, but we are projected by 2050 to also be the largest city in Colorado. Now, here you can see El Paso County population growth has also slowed. But we are still projected to be one of the top 5 counties in the state in terms of population growth. So housing affordability, quality of life, amenities, we have to make sure all of those keep us desirable, right? And we are projected to be at about 1 million people by 2050. And here's a big advantage. Look at the population by age for El Paso County. The highest growth is 30 to 49. That's prime working ages, people who want to go to concerts, right? All kinds of positive things. Now, let's talk a little bit about arts as an economic engine. Okay, arts and culture industries grew more than twice the rate of the total economy between 2022 and 2023. That's your top chart. Okay, with arts being the blue, and you're like, wow, what's going on there? Well, a lot of that had to do with pent-up demand after the pandemic and so forth. But that's a pretty good indicator, right? Soon as people could spend on arts and culture, they did. Arts added about the same or more to US GDP in direct impact than agriculture and forestry. That was actually a teeny bit higher. But mining of coal and metals, outdoor recreation, and transportation and warehousing. And remember, that's like the movement of all of the goods and services, including Amazon and such, right? Not the goods themselves, but the transportation and warehousing. So you can see that. Arts and culture added $1.2 trillion to the US economy in 2023 at 4.2% of GDP. And then I made a chart here for you so you can actually see the relativity. So why did I include healthcare and social assistance? Because that's the largest one, right? So you can kind of get the context there. Now, like I said, pandemic recovery, right? But the digital sector strength is also a lot of the reason that we've seen so much growth in arts and culture as a contribution to GDP over the last 5 years. Streaming, right? I never used to watch series, right? And then during the pandemic, we started to. Broadcasting, Spotify, et cetera. And then remember that cultural exports, like blockbuster movies, like Barbie and so forth, that's money that comes into the United States. So if it's a blockbuster outside of the US, those dollars are still coming into the US because the US is the production company, right? So that's that. Now, what about employment? The employment of arts and culture, 5.4 million workers. That's now higher than pre-pandemic levels. That includes all direct and indirect. So what does that mean? That means not just maybe the artists or creatives themselves, but also some of the peripheral things that go around them, right? The businesses that also benefit and the workers. The largest employment growth from 2019 to 2023, computer systems design, theatrical ticketing agencies, web publishing, and streaming. Now, I italicized those two because I'm going to talk a lot about technology, right? And AI. Those technologies are a very large part of the growth, so that's all the more reason that the creatives need to pay special attention to them. Creativity is among the top 5 demanded skills in all industries. 72% of businesses indicate that has high importance to them, according to the Conference Board. And I tie that to the ability to critically think, to think outside the box, and so forth. Okay, now, what about specific arts-related sectors in Colorado and Colorado Springs? Well, in the state, we had almost $20 billion in contribution to GSP, as we call it, or GDP, and that's about 4% of the state economy. About 121,000 jobs, or about 4% of state employment. And then you can see that these are the core arts industries. So it includes the performers, independent artists, interior design, architecture, and advertising. And these are the direct jobs, okay? Now, if you think about the multiplier, which is the economic impact, those are the additional jobs that come from the businesses, right, that are benefiting. So maybe like a restaurant, right, after an event, retail and so forth, hotels when people go from out of town. And those are the bars that are in blue. So if you added up all of those, and these are all the sectors, right, in the state of Colorado, you end up with employment of 632,000. Now that's a very rough estimate because not everybody who goes to a restaurant is necessarily tied to a cultural event, but in some cases you're also underestimating professional and technical. Well, what about the sound person, right? They're not always counted in necessarily arts, entertainment, and recreation. So there's a little bit of fuzzy math here, but you get the general idea. These are the 3 sectors that are impacted the most, right, by the creative industry. In Colorado, just the arts, entertainment, and recreation industry was 62,400 jobs, not insignificant. Oh, and by the way, I should have mentioned that those 3 bars add up to 21% of the employment in the state of Colorado, which is at about 3 million. Now, we got something new coming, right, to the state of Colorado. We now have the Boulder Sundance Film Festival. If we look at the latest one, too bad Utah lost it, right? 2024, in Utah, their contribution to their GDP was $132 million just from this one event. 1,700 jobs, about $70 million in wages, and about $14 million in tax revenue. That's pretty significant, right? And Sundance Festival, out-of-state attendees spent about $783 per day, and in-state attendees spent about $200. That $783, I don't know if you guys know, there's this thing called inflation. It's probably $1,000 a day now, right? Okay, and then what about projected employment in the state of Colorado? Colorado Department of Labor and Employment does a really good job like looking forward, what are the industry trends and so forth. And if you add up the ones that I highlighted before, you can actually see that there's about an 80,000 job employment boost that is going to come from these three industries between now and 2033. So that's a lot of additional jobs. Now, what about the Pikes Peak region? About 185 million in total expenditures. Okay, that's direct activity from nonprofit arts. COPPR actually gave us these numbers. So I don't think it counts everything because we have a lot of for-profit as well, right? Additional event-related spending is about another 123 million. That's the multiplier that I talked about, okay? About 3,000 direct and indirect jobs and about 30 million in tax revenue. Smart governments, is Yemi still here? Smart governments know how to capitalize on that because the taxation is huge, right? And you can see that. And does anybody know who that's a picture of? Rory, my son. Okay, now, same graph as before, but El Paso County. So here again, I've highlighted the three sectors, and you can see that they add up to about 73,000 jobs when you add them all up, about 24% of our total employment. The arts industry directly, arts, entertainment, and recreation is about 6,500 jobs. Now, we know recreation is also mixed in there. Like I said, we don't have as much clean data, especially locally, but you get the idea. Now, about a third in the US, about a third of event attendees travel outside of the county where the event occurs. So we know there's a lot of travel, right, often related to this. In the Pikes Peak region, average of about $45 per person per event. For non-local, it's about $71, and for local residents, it's almost $40. So the idea here is obviously when people come here, they spend money, and even more so when they're coming from out of town. And Doug Price knows a lot about that. And up there on the upper left hand is another conservatory person named Bridget Benson, whose sister actually works with data-driven economic strategies. So we're shameless about this sort of thing. Oh, and my daughter works with me. So, this is the Latina thing, by the way, but nepotism is very, very, very much part of our culture. Okay, so economic impact of Ford Amphitheater. I love this. I can actually hear this. I don't care. I live in Monument. I think it's fantastic, and they're always finished by 10 o'clock. Stop your whining. Okay, 90 million entertainment complex that hosts 35 scheduled events a year. Okay, this is estimated economic impact, right? City of Colorado Springs, they have actually estimated the 102 million and $1 billion over the next decade. And again, it's not just the events themselves, it's people going out to eat. It's coming in from out of town. It's amazing. And by the way, my youngest, Adriana, when I told her about this, she kind of rolled her eyes and she was like, nobody's going to come to Colorado Springs. And I was like, yeah, a lot of the acts that are in Denver, they're going to say, oh yeah, an hour away, I will do this. Even Red Rocks, I will do this. And there you go. Leon Bridges, a whole bunch of names, and it's just going to continue to grow. Now, tourism spending in El Paso County, you can see how it's just been on the increase other than the COVID years. You can see how many workers, and this is from the Colorado Tourism Office. There's no way that the arts doesn't greatly contribute to this, right? And I only see the arts component of this growing for all the reasons we just stated, including the Ford Amphitheater. Sales and use tax, you can see how that's been increasing. Okay, that's population growth, but again, it's also economic activity. For Boulder, it's interesting. All of the construction that's going to happen because of the Sundance Film Festival. So again, that's the multiplier, right? The spillover effect. All right, a couple of other indicators. Tourism, yes. All right, we have employments, people coming in from out of town. You can see how that's grown. Has anybody taken the Cancun trip yet out of Colorado Springs Airport? That is on my list. And then you can see how we're doing well with occupancy and so forth. And then, people also rent cars, right? They also pay taxes when they're staying at hotels and so forth. This is a 12-month moving average. Look at how since COVID we've had a 41% increase in what is called LART, the Lodgers and Auto Rental Tax, okay? And then kind of to mostly wrap up here, what about AI? Well, many artists are using AI to help them with the time-consuming tasks, smoothing audio, generating drafts, sketching ideas, and so forth. But we know there's also a cost, right? Fewer gigs and contracts, potentially, less credit given to the artists, declining bargaining power, and, AI in some cases is a silent competitor. It's cloning voices, we know that as well, mimicking writing styles and so forth. And for vocalists in particular, that is a very serious issue. I just want to mention too, I think about this with writing. It's interesting because with workforce development, we talk a lot with kids and school districts and so forth. I do a ton of writing, and I think about it, am I going to be needed, right? How do I distinguish myself besides getting up and dancing when I'm not supposed to be dancing? I distinguish myself by also knowing how to communicate, and that's a key thing. And everybody's got a different mix, right? Different talents, different interests, but I think that's going to be one of the key things in terms of AI is being really darn good at what you do, but then also, again, knowing how to distinguish yourself with some additional skills. In 2023, the video game industry cut over 10,500 jobs, as an example, many in art, illustration, marketing, and so forth. Now, there is some promise in legislation. Tennessee passed this thing called the Elvis Act in March of last year to regulate deepfake audio and unauthorized vocal cloning. Honestly, I'm skeptical about legislation. I just think it moves too slow, and technology is moving faster. So I think that's a reality that we have to think about. Now, there's a lot in here, but bear with me. By 2028, the estimates by the World Economic Forum are that AI could displace 24% of creator revenue in music and 21% in audiovisual, and that's globally, billions of dollars. Meanwhile, AI-generated content is expected to reach $74 billion in market value. Most of the value, this is a key, most of the value isn't going to artists of that $74 billion. It's being captured by tech firms, startups, platforms that rarely credit, let alone compensate, human work that is used to train their models. Tech firms, quote, own the rails. Any of you listen to Prof G, Professor Scott Galloway? He is a really interesting podcaster, super profane, by the way. So I'll just warn you. He is spot on with this. Think about it. Who owns the rails? Amazon. Anyone wants to make something and sell it on Amazon, it has to go through Amazon. And then what does Amazon do if they see it's profitable? They start making it themselves. Spotify is another incredible example, right? Who owns the rails? The tech company. So I'm not trying to depress you, honestly, but I think it's a stark reality that all creatives must be thinking about. And again, be ahead of those trends. Know them well, even if you're not a coder or whatever the case may be, at least understand what those trends are. So is AI a threat or is it a tool? It's neither. It's how we respond to it. The outcome's going to depend on how artists choose to engage with those tools, how artists educate themselves about these tools, how the law evolves. You know what the average age in Congress is? You think Congress is going to do something about technology? And how society redefines authorship and artistic value. Okay. Now, so we know that there are some positives. We know that there are challenges, ethics, fear of job displacement, IP, intellectual property. I'm going to tell you my take. Exceptional human, live, in-person creatives will be highly sought after, and those with digital performing/creation talent will have the biggest advantage, okay? So that recaps what I've been saying. I also think there's some great possibilities for AI as a teaching aid. Amazing, I think, what we can do with that moving forward. And then lastly, there are, of course, issues going on with federal funding right now. The National Endowment for Humanities, which is a large umbrella that includes the arts, but other things as well, universities and so forth, they're looking at a 70% reduction in staff, cancellation of all future and current grants, and about 20 million at risk moving forward. The National Endowment for the Arts, cancellation also of all current and future grants. 40% of grants used to go to state and regional arts agencies, 60% to nonprofits. 210 million in the fiscal year 25 budget cuts, but Trump has proposed eliminating this agency altogether. I think a lot of you are aware of that. Post No Child Left Behind, 71% of school districts cut time for the arts and music in favor of core subjects, because those are the ones that were being tested. I was on a school board back in Michigan when all of this was going on, and here I came in with my articles. No, kids need to go outside. They need arts. They need time away from this. And all of the board members were like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Here, I even made copies. You can all read it. Did they do anything? Nope. Right? So we have to pay very close attention to that. So what do we do about this? This is a major issue, right? This is how we vote. This is how we message. This is how we do things like ask about the economics of the arts so people are aware. Make yourself aware, aware of these things. Some of you in the room probably can get up and do presentations on this, right? Or go to certain forums and talk about the economic impact, because at the end of the day, it's about incentives too. So we can say people should be paying attention to this. They should be writing legislation about this. But in the end, we have to look at also what value add in terms of jobs, in terms of economic impact, right? In addition to all the wonderful things that the creatives do, like make us happy, right? Okay, so communities can positively target the creative industries, right? Like I said, by creating jobs, taxation, et cetera, and making desirable communities. Arizona did something kind of interesting. The state intentionally made an investment in the arts in 2023. The Greater Phoenix Economic Council created this thing called the Virtual Gallery, which helps emerging and established artists gain visibility. They created this thing called the Roosevelt Row, Phoenix's walkable art district, showcasing local talent. And they intentionally united local artists and community leaders to drive awareness of the arts. Intentionality. Be advocates for that in your city, in your state, and so forth, right? And you can see some of the benefits. The third bullet, Greater Phoenix, the creative economy grew by 11% year over year through long-term intentional investments, right? And over 100,000 jobs. And then lastly, I think we all know in the room that the arts, it's not just arts, it's the spillover, not from just an economic standpoint either. You can see here that arts is one of the few things that still brings people together, right? We're so disconnected. You can also see that it's a little difficult to see, but health and wellness, we know that the arts help with mental health, right? Music therapy and so forth. And then economic, as I've talked about, it adds to a shrinking tax base. Let's go back to my early slides that I talked about. We have a shrinking tax base. So arts is one of the many wonderful ways that we can add to that tax base. And that's my presentation for today. And I'm not going to sing on the way out. But if you have any curiosity on some of our economic reports and the other work that we do, I do a weekly TV economic update on Fox 21 that airs on Thursdays. And Gabby, my daughter, who works with me, actually puts them on LinkedIn as well. So with that, I don't think we have time for questions, or do we? You don't? No. Yes. So thank you again for having me here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's keep expressing our appreciation for Dr. Bailey, who did all of that research just for us. Dr. Bailey's presentation Her keynote today, custom made for our creative summit today, was sponsored by the Tiemens Foundation. And the performance by Terry Josiah Sharp was sponsored by Krithika and Prashant. Thank you for those supporters. Boy, it's a lot. We're in a really momentous time. And the solution is to come together. And as your cultural office, I invite you to come closer to us. We don't have all the answers, but I believe our answers are to be found together. That's why we convene. It's why we introduce to each other. It's why we bridge to other sectors who do have great ideas and share ours with them. And all that happens through your cultural office. So if today is your first time with us, or if you haven't really gone very deep, the cultural office staff and board are here today. Can you raise your hands if you're part of our staff or board of the cultural office? Thank you so much to all of you for your leadership, and find these people. At the cultural office table in the lobby, you'll also find a way to sign up for emails and be plugged in. Now is not the time to fight this out on your own. Come together. Share your great ideas, share your expertise. We're stronger together, and our vision is a community united by creativity. Not just because it feels good, because it's a competitive advantage, and because we're stronger together. Now we're gonna have a break for 15 minutes until 2:15. You'll find restrooms out this door to your left. There are refreshments outside. Our breakout locations, there's gonna be 2 breakouts at 2:15. Hi, Merch. In here, we are having the tourism, the cultural destination, tourism, stewardship. All of those topics are going to be in here with the most incredible panel. You don't want to miss that, but you might, because you might choose the other panel, which is in the Shockley Zalabach Theater. It is being led by Brian Corrigan of Farm to Spaceship, with another amazing panel exploring all things to do with the experience economy, small businesses, and resources there. So head over there at 2:15. Right now, please enjoy a break. Introduce yourself to someone you've never met, and I'll see you again here at 3:15.
Good afternoon. You have chosen correctly to be in this panel situation. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jonathan Toman. I'm the program manager for cultural promotion and tourism at the Cultural Office. It is, I think, the second longest title in all of Colorado Springs, but I am excited to be here with y'all, and we've got a great panel here this afternoon to talk about arts and destination marketing. I am a 90s child, so I'm going to grab my handy-dandy notebook. Yes, the Blues Clues folks in the crowd, while we get rolling here. First things first, let me tell you who we have up on the panel with us. Nico, I didn't get a chance actually to get your last name pronunciation before we met. We just met today, so. Nico, can you say your full name for me?
Yeah, it's Nico Hubler.
Hubler, okay, very good. Nico is the Community Revitalization Program Manager at Colorado Creative Industries, which is Colorado's state arts agency. He oversees the Community Revitalization Tax Credit, which went into effect this year and provides $10 million annually for capital projects supporting the creative industry. Nico has previous experience in both state government and tech. He was born and raised in Boulder and is a graduate of the University of Colorado, which we're on the UCCS campus, so. In his free time, Nico enjoys exploring the Colorado art scene, making pottery, backpacking, and skiing. If you can do those all at one time, I would be really impressed. Everybody welcome Nico, please. To my right, we have Alexia Veneration. Yeah, woo! Yes, you do have fans. I think we all have fans. Alexia is the Director of Communications for Visit COS, which she joined in February 2020. Interesting time to join. After spending 5 years at a public relations agency, she oversees internal and external communications, including media and influencer relationships, crisis communications, social media strategy, and editorial content. An innovator and breaker of the status quo, Alexia was an honoree in the Destination's International 30 Under 30 program, as well as the first recipient of the Colorado Governor's Award for Rising Tourism Star in 2022. when she's not coordinating media visits and building out content calendars, as we all have to do, you can find her hitting the hiking trails or grabbing a bite at her favorite local restaurants. And then last well, you guys keep me on task. If I make a mistake or skip ahead, you let me know. Last but certainly not least, down on the end, we have Michelle Roselle. Michelle is the Director of Heritage Tourism for the City of Cripple Creek, Vice Chair for the Gold Belt Scenic Byway, Vice Chair for the Pikes Peak History Coalition, and is also a board member for the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region. We're happy to have her. While working as a special education paraeducator, yes, absolutely, she returned to college and received a BA in history. 2 years later, she was hired as a museum manager by the City of Cripple Creek and was eventually put in charge of 3 city museums and the Department of Heritage Tourism. Michelle is a self-taught photographer. Visual arts have always been connective for her, influencing her renewed passion for supporting the creative arts and how it ties in with history, community, and tourism. Please welcome Michelle. So thank you so much for being at this panel. We've got a lot to talk about. 45 minutes may not be enough. Hopefully we'll have time for some questions at the end. We're going to cover a lot. Arts and destination marketing, destination stewardship, themes and topics like creating vibrant public spaces, enhancing community well-being and tourism appeal, how arts and culture shape tourism, economic vitality, and placemaking, and even how strategic partnerships enhance and even redefine vibrant destinations, and also how we steward those destinations too. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. We've got a great panel assembled. And you know what I forgot to do is give you their faces so that you knew who was who. Good news is I don't have to do anything more with this slide. What I wanted to start with was actually Nico, and we're going to give him a few minutes here to talk about CCI. One of the things that we like doing at the Cultural Office, I call it playing point guard, where we can tell people about other organizations or other things that are happening that we can connect folks to that maybe they haven't heard of, because it's all about connection, right, as Angela said, and working together, supporting each other. So I wanted to give Nico a few minutes to talk about CCI and his work specifically.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jonathan. CCI, like Jonathan said, is Colorado's arts agency. We operate under a partnership between the NEA and state government. We were founded in 1967 and previously known as Colorado Council on the Arts. We were renamed really to emphasize that we are here to support and promote the Colorado arts economy. So really emphasizing how important arts and culture are to the economy and really building off that. We have a number of programs and really mean to support the arts at all levels. So everything from direct funding to artists, to creative districts, so partnering arts, culture, and tourism, and funding for capital projects. So we do those things in a number of different ways, but if we want to move to the next slide. Just wanted to highlight a couple of the programs that are most relevant to our discussion today. So the first being the Colorado Creative Districts program. We have designated creative districts throughout the state, and our office provides some support in terms of funding for this designation, as well as convening support and technical assistance, really working with those local leaders within the creative districts to promote the artists and placemaking within those areas, making it a real grassroots effort and offering support and partnership to promote that.
And the Pikes Peak region has 2 state-certified creative districts. Does anybody know off the top of their head what they are?
Downtown and Manitou.
Yep.
There's Colin Christie, well done.
Yeah. The next program we wanted to highlight was the Community Revitalization Program. So this is our capital project support. This was a grant-operated program for the last 5 or so years that was initiated by 2 bills within the state legislature and supported with ARPA funding. We are really happy to be able to continue the success of the grant program, although the legislature has now designated a tax credit. So the funding mechanism has changed a little bit, but we're able to support those big capital projects so that we can support the arts at that level and play a part in the infrastructure that supports the arts economy in local areas. One of the big projects here that you'll recognize is the Art Space apartment building going in downtown, and I think Michelle just let me know that they're at about 4 stories building there, and we're looking forward to completing that next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks so much for letting us highlight those CCI initiatives, and really excited to get into the talk today.
Yeah, you bet, Nico. Happy to have you and happy to talk about CCI. And that art space is going in the former Tim Gill Center space in downtown Colorado Springs. For those who know, that's where that artist-specific housing will be here, and hopefully the end of the year, perhaps. So we'll get going on our panel questions from there, and sort of how this will work. I've got 2 questions for everyone that'll bookend our conversation, and then we'll have individual questions as well as we go along. But this first one is for everybody. The arts can outplay a crucial role in tourism, destination management, and of course, placemaking, as has already come up. What do you see as the role of your organization in promoting the arts and leveraging opportunities provided by local arts and culture? And we'll actually start down on the end. Michelle, if you want to go first.
So arts is kind of out of my world to a degree, but I went to lunch with Angela last week, and she made a really valid point about how history is culture and culture is art. So with that being said, at the Heritage Center up in Cripple Creek, we have the great opportunity to be able to offer our space for an extremely affordable rate. I charge artists $50 for an entire show each. And they can stay down there a whole week, 2 weeks, whatever, sell their artwork and make money off of their artwork, which is awesome. I support mostly Teller County artists. I don't know if you guys get up to Cripple Creek very often. We're kind of at the top of the hill. But we have a lot of creative folks in Teller County, and that means Woodland Park, Florissant, Divide, and Cripple Creek and Victor. And so to me, that's really a great way that I can support the arts and share their work with visitors, because we are a visitor destination. And so a lot of visitors get to come up, experience what their vision of art in our area is, the culture, and they get to take that back home and hopefully share it with other people who in turn will come up and visit us as well. So that's what I like to contribute to the arts and culture in our area in Teller County.
Mm-hmm. We'll just work our way down the line. Nico, you want to go next?
Awesome. Like I mentioned, there are a couple of different programs that CCI funds that directly support the arts that I already talked about. But I think another big way that, as a state arts agency, we're looking to support the creative industry is really through connection and partnership of different state partners. So one mechanism we've done this is through the Arts Corridor, and I think we have a slide that we had a map of this on.
You might have to.
Yeah. You'll see here the different towns highlighted, but basically in convening a lot of the creative districts, we were able to support them in this partnership in creating the Colorado Creative Corridor. This is a website which highlights 5 creative districts in different towns through the mountains. And they have partnered in creating itineraries for folks to explore the art scene in each of these different areas, knowing that arts and culture visitors normally contribute longer tourism stays and contribute more to the economy in those local destinations.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. In all of these different towns, we have different CCI-supported projects, which have also been able to be highlighted through this partnership in the corridor. And some of these different programs include the Colorado Space to Create program. So the Space to Create program is a first-of-its-kind rural housing initiative in which the state has designated 9 different rural localities as Space to Create. where we have partnered with the towns in offering pre-development grants and access to matching funds with the Betcher Foundation. These local communities have then partnered in finding a developer and designating areas for housing that are meant to be live workspaces specifically for creatives. In the creative corridor, we have a few. Salida, Ridgeway, and Paonia were all designated space to create. Ridgeway has already opened their housing project that we were in partnership in creating, and Salida is underway in developing theirs. Paonia has not begun any development yet. But we're really excited to support a number of different programs in these communities that then contribute to their partnership with each other in promoting tourism within their communities and drawing folks not just to their towns, but to local partners as well.
Yeah, thanks, Nico. Alexia, that makes you next.
It does. Okay. Well, as the destination marketing organization of Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region, promoting arts and culture and what visitors can see and do while they're here is, of course, our main focus at Visit COS. We recently got data back from our annual Longwoods Visitor Profile Study, and it shows the different activities that visitors tend to do while they're here. So from that 2024 data that we received, of our overnight visitors, 50% reported doing cultural activities during their stay, and that's compared to 31% of the US norm. So we're well above the US average of people coming here for cultural interests. So it is very important to us to work closely with the cultural office and our galleries and events and things like that, and really showcase that to our visitors who are seeking those experiences. I always joke with Jonathan, I see him literally everywhere I go, and in turn, you see me everywhere you go. So we just always are running into each other, and that's because we collaborate so closely with the cultural office. He even sits on our marketing committee. So we're very much in tune with what we're doing to promote this destination as a great place for those cultural experiences. So I would say overall, with how the arts plays a role in tourism, it's a huge driver for most of our visitors.
Absolutely. I'm going to want a chair in the Visit COS boardroom with my name on it. If you can make that happen, that would be great. We have specific questions now for each of our panelists, so lock in. The first one is actually for Alexia. We just heard from you, but tell us about this upcoming Areas and Neighborhoods project that Visit COS is undertaking, and it's a two-part question. How do you think this will impact tourists' experience with the region, and then how will arts offerings and events be showcased?
Okay, so this is a huge project that we are almost ready to soft launch. A lot of you in this room probably have talked to us at some point this year about this project, so thank you for all of your support and help with it. But we got the idea to do a neighborhoods-geared project several years ago, and because it's such a large, daunting project, it took a bit to really feel like we had the bandwidth, the staff, and the resources to make this happen. So we ended up applying for a tourism marketing grant this year through the Colorado Tourism Office, adjacent to the office that Nico works with, and we were granted those funds so that we could make this project come to life. And really at the heart of it is establishing identity and placemaking for Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region. So we had dreams of having really recognizable neighborhoods with their own identities, similar to how you think about Denver, and everyone kind of knows when they go to Rhino that vibe that they're going to experience and the types of places they can see when they're there. Going to like cool industrial like wineries and breweries in that area and getting to go on art walks. And we really wanted to do our part in establishing that for the Pikes Peak region. So that's what this project is. There's a lot involved with it, and unfortunately, we can't feature 500 communities that really are represented in the Pikes Peak region. So we nailed it down to 25. We have 25 unique areas that we'll be highlighting. And this is just a snapshot of some of the drafts. Nothing is live yet on our website, but there'll be a main hub and a landing page that has an interactive map where you can kind of see some nods to the region in the design of the map. We had a local designer, Laura Tiller from Ink and Bone, designed our map, and it has like a little Rita the Rock Planner troll by Victor. And so you kind of get these nods to the identity just looking at the map, and that might intrigue the visitor to click on a certain area. And then when they click on it, that's when it'll open up these pages with so much information and identity about that neighborhood. So it's probably hard to see all these details, but one example up here, Nob Hill, we have a little tagline for it, an artist breeding ground. It says also known as KWAD, pronounced as KWAD, which stands for Nob Hill Urban Arts District. You'll find unique music venues, a grassroots arts community, and tons of incredible murals by local street artists. So this neighborhood in particular is so heavy on the arts, which of course is why I'm showing this group this particular one, but built into every single area, there is rich arts and cultural experiences and identity included. And we're also pairing with this, these little like history blurbs, peek into the past, and we also have can't miss moments featuring different local events in each neighborhood. We worked closely with Jonathan, been driving him crazy, getting peak radar events pulled directly into the areas so that it'll have nearby events too that will filter into these neighborhoods based on zip codes people put in for the events. So it'll be very robust on every single page, and we're pairing some great video content with it. If anyone ever saw the like creative itineraries that COPPR worked on, that was an incredible project and really inspired us for the videos we're making to pair with each neighborhood. So if you know Kate Hertz, who used to be with the cultural office and now works with Visit COS, they are going to be kind of the tour guide in these different videos showcasing the neighborhoods. So really drawing visitors in, showing them the rich identity and art and culture that you can find in all these areas. And ultimately, it's going to support our long-term goals of increasing visitor length of stay, which we're going to get into later.
Yeah. Kate Hertz, the star of What to Do Wednesday, if y'all remember that. Michelle, this next question is for you. Events like the Cripple Creek Ice Festival and Donkey Derby Days are often what people think of first when they think of Cripple Creek. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of having those large-scale events? And then how do you leverage some of the lesser-known but still really important events like Mountain Arts Festival and the Out West Art Show?
So Donkey Derby Days is this weekend, by the way, just so you know. You have to go up and see it. They're really different animals. So Donkey Derby Days is actually owned by the 2 Mile High Club. They're the folks that volunteer to take care of the donkeys, and all the proceeds go back to take care of the donkeys. It's about $1,000 a year to take care of one donkey, and we have 16. So the benefit of having something like that come into town is in Cripple Creek, all of our main events happen right on Bennett Avenue, which is our main thoroughfare where all our businesses and all our restaurants are, and everybody profits off of that. They depend on these events to bring folks up, and they come up in droves and they spend money, and it is a huge economic impact. The Ice Festival is even a larger impact because during the wintertime, we're not next to a ski resort. We don't have winter sports, and it's kind of out of the way for people to come up the mountain when it's snowing or when it's cold. So the Ice Festival came around to be a huge economic boost to the businesses and everybody involved, the businesses, lodging, restaurants, casinos even. And again, it's right on our main street, so people can come up during the wintertime when a lot of businesses are really, really struggling, and it actually gets them through the winter. It's a huge, huge impact. And so we're very fortunate that we can have our festivals right in the middle of town, and everybody can benefit off that. The bad part, the difficult part is always, as in tourism, is a lot of people coming at the same time. Your traffic is difficult to maneuver. In Cripple Creek, we close down the main roads, so you have to maneuver around side streets to get to where you're going. It's a larger impact on our first responders, our public works department, but it is so important to the rest of our businesses that you just kind of set all that aside, because we want these people to come up. And a lot of them wait for it every year, like Donkey Derby Days. There's already people talking, they're getting hotel rooms today, you know? So it keeps the city alive. We're very fortunate. We do have 3 different industries in Cripple Creek. We have our mining industry, we have our gaming industry, and we have our tourism. And by far, I think our tourism is the most important. And so for us, these festivals are our lifeblood. So hopefully you get to come up and see us.
135,000 tickets in 2 months of Ice Castles.
It's
is
crazy.
Absurd.
Crazy.
That's absurd. Nico, you're next. We kind of fast forwarded and did this already. Was there anything else you wanted to add about some of these resources on the map?
Yeah, definitely. I'll just talk about two additional resources that really helped us get to this point with the Colorado Creative Corridor. I talked a bit about the professional mentorship that folks are getting when they do sign up for, or when they do seek out the Creative District program. One specific resource within this was the Destination Development Mentorship Program. So the creative district leaders in some of these 5 highlighted creative districts went through the process and were connected with mentors within the program that had previously gone through designation, and other tools that we have provided through Springboard for the Arts. And they were able to then develop this program and market it throughout. And the other piece that allowed them to do that marketing was a collaboration with the Colorado Tourism Office, another office within the Colorado State Office of Economic Development and International Trade, in which Colorado Creative Industries is located. We really look to partner within other state agencies to ensure that folks are getting all the support they can in order to market themselves and reach the right audiences and folks to come visit.
Yeah, partnerships can make the world go round, no doubt about that. We're on to question number 2. Alexia. Contrary to what might be popular belief, increasing the total number of visitors is not always the goal for Visit COS. How do efforts such as extending visitors' stay in the region and spread out, affect the impacts, both economic and otherwise, of tourism here locally?
Yes, so our mission is not to bring more visitors, it is to drive economic vitality of Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region through memorable visits to the area. So that's really the mission here. We're not just simply trying to get more and more people. So our marketing campaigns and efforts really are centered around increasing length of stay and driving more overnight visitation. We saw with Dr. Tatiana Bailey's presentation with Sundance that really out-of-state visitors bring in more money than in-state visitors, so that's also a focus, is for us to reach beyond the state of Colorado and push our marketing efforts outside to out-of-state visitors who will spend more. So I have some more of our data from that Longwoods report up here. You'll see that this one main goal we have to increase length of stay, we're making progress on. So the average last year for overnight visitors to the Pikes Peak region, they spent 2.2 nights in the Pikes Peak region of their trip. So oftentimes visitors will plan maybe a longer trip to the state of Colorado, and that's the portion they spend here in the Pikes Peak region. So as of the 2024 data, it had increased to 2.7 nights. So that's a whole half-day increase, which is a great track, yeah. So that shows us some of those efforts are really working. And then some other data, just to show you the overnight versus day. Overnight visitors spend an average of $193 per person versus just $67 for day visitors. So really getting people from out of state who are gonna have those room nights booked is essential to our strategy. So overall, that helps a ton. And then another big thing that Jonathan asked about is the stewardship side of getting out, spreading out. So that neighborhoods project that I informed you a little bit on so far, that is a huge component of really showing people just how much there is to see and do here. of course, we want you to go at Pikes Peak, we want you to see Garden of the Gods, but we have these 25 rich, vibrant areas that there's so many more experiences. You can stay 7 nights and you still won't have hit everything that you might want to see. So that will be a great project for us to really show visitors and really push forward increased length of stay. But yeah, I think overall our efforts are working, and it's something that we're going to remain focused on. But it's not just bringing more people. It really is about that economic vitality piece that's more sustainable than just bringing more people.
Yeah. And those evening arts events are a great reason to stay the night, extend your stay, do those sorts of things. Absolutely. Lynn, thank you. Michelle, we have to talk about Rita. How many in the crowd who has been to Rita the Rock Planter in Victor, Colorado? Yes, okay, very good. Yes, we'll work on that next. How has Rita the Rock Planter impacted Victor and Cripple Creek as a regional, statewide tourist draw, and what leverage has it provided to get folks to stay in Cripple Creek and Victor for more adventures?
So Rita was the brainchild of this very small group of people in Victor. They took the bull by the horns and they made it happen. They got in touch with Thomas Dambo. It just happened. He was doing a United States tour to figure out different states that he wanted to put a troll in. Of course, we have Isaac and Breckenridge, but he was drawn to Victor, and so we got Rita. The first year was absolutely insane. It was like every day you go up there, there's a huge crowd of people. And every day somebody would walk into the Heritage Center, and that's all they wanted to know is where Rita is. So she's been a great, great draw for people to come up to the region. There's people who don't know she exists, but we have a picture of her on our front desk, and they'll be like, oh, where's that and what's that? So we get to expand her attention with that. There's people that follow Thomas Dambo, which is amazing. So they want to see all the trolls in the whole world because they are all over the world. We've noticed it's kind of slowed down a little bit during the winter time, but again, I was just noticing being at the front desk at the Heritage Center, every day somebody's coming in, oh yeah, we're gonna go see her. Oh yeah, where is she at? Hey, how do we get there? So it's been a huge, huge boon to tourism, and that was the whole idea with this small group that started and got her up there. The only challenge that we have in our area, and I have to say thank you, Visit COS, for putting her on the magazine, getting her, I mean, the advertising's been huge, and of course, the COPPR, they're always advertising her as well. But the challenge that we have in Cripple Creek is we don't have a lot of restaurants and we don't have a lot of hotels that allow families. A lot of our casinos house a lot of the hotel rooms and the restaurants, and they do not allow children under 18 to get in. So that's one of the challenges that we face. So a lot of times we don't see overnight stays coming with that visitation. It's more just a day trip, which we still have plenty to do to keep you up there for the whole day. And I think they do a lot of that. They experience a lot of the other museums and attractions that we have. So Rita's been a huge impact in a positive way. And we love her. We just want to take care of her.
Absolutely. Nico, you've talked about a lot of different projects and things that are happening with CCI. What I was curious about is how have you seen some of these Colorado communities you've mentioned continue the momentum of their projects after the project?
Yeah, of course. So I think staying in contact and working on utilizing additional resources has really helped some projects continue to grow. You'll see here, in Sterling, we were able to designate the downtown area a creative district. After that designation, the town found that there was still some difficulty in drawing in and incentivizing folks to come in off the highway. And so the 6 mile or so stretch between I-76 and Sterling downtown was able to partner with the downtown businesses and the businesses along that stretch in putting up murals on that 6-mile stretch in order to draw folks in and provide an organic arts incentive down to the downtown creative district. And we saw that that was really an additional motivator in order to get folks downtown and participating in the local economy there. Additionally, in terms of utilizing underdeveloped space, Rhino Art Park was able to leverage additional resources from the state after the creative district designation. So about 10 years or so, I think, after the creative district designation, the creative district was able to apply for community revitalization grant funding, and they really took the initiative on to utilize underdeveloped space adjacent to the creative district and develop this art park, which includes a library, some social gathering space, and the redevelopment of an old carriage warehouse. And that has really changed the area and brought in folks and events for additional economic participation there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing those examples. Alexia, we're back to you.
All right.
High season for tourism in the Pikes Peak region is summer. This is true. But it is more balanced throughout the year than people might think. So tell us about some of those numbers and ways that Visit COS and other organizations leverage the shoulder seasons to benefit themselves and visitors.
Yes, so another big key initiative of ours is to really bolster the shoulder and off seasons of tourism. It might be a little more dispersed than most people think. I'm curious though, raise your hands if you think this is more dispersed than you expected it to be. Okay, yeah, most people. So that's a good sign. We are moving in the right direction, really trying to get this to be a year-round destination, because it truly is, like our weather and everything there is to see and do. So you'll see that summer still is at 30% of our visitation, but the other seasons are not far behind. So in the last several years, we've worked really hard specifically on our fall leisure campaign, and even last year, we paired it with Arts Month in October and did a dual campaign with COPPR. So that's the example you see up there, come for the leaf watching, discover so much more. And that really shows people that in that fall season, you can still do all these great outdoor activities that you know and love about the destination, and then stay and do more arts and cultural experiences, because it's a great time of the year to do so and celebrate Arts Month. So those campaigns have been going really well for us in driving that fall visitation that we really needed. And now we're ready to tackle more with winter. So we have never really put many marketing dollars behind a winter leisure campaign. So something we're doing new this year is going to be a winter leisure campaign and really showcasing all of those winter activities to do. I actually, when I visited Rita, was in the winter with my kids, and we bundled up and did the little hike in the snow, and it was beautiful. So we really want to show visitors all of those great activities, still outdoor experiences you can do in the winter, and then of course all of these great cultural performance events and art experiences that you can do. So we're excited to launch that. And then also with that, we're working on bolstering our winter meetings and events campaigns. So we have some incentive programs to really get people to book those events in Q4, Q1, and really boost that. So that's a huge goal of ours. And we're doing some new stuff too with COPPR for Arts Month this year that I'm excited about.
Us too. Hooray for new stuff. And it's a lot easier when it's -4 degrees and a foot of snow to go to an indoor arts event than it is to hike the incline. Just going to say that. Michelle, I'm going to preface this last one for you that this is impossible for you to answer, really. So do your best. Tourism can tip the scales much more dramatically in small towns. A, is it possible to balance the economic needs of the area with concerns locals might have? And then B, how can arts events and creative projects help to create buy-in from those skeptical locals?
Like I said, we're very fortunate. A lot of the locals support a lot of the festivals because a lot of the businesses are owned by locals right there. And so that's a huge buy-in, number one. As far as the arts are concerned, you had asked earlier about, leveraging the smaller art shows. Well, they're smart because they always set up the art shows during another event. So right now, there's an art show going on that is going all the way through Donkey Derby Days on July 4th, so they're going to benefit off of that. We have one during the Fall Festival, which is our big leaf peeping season, which is huge. And then, of course, we have, the Ice Festival, we have art shows. So that's how we kind of benefit the artists off of time. We already have the foot traffic coming in, so it's very easy for them to benefit off of that foot traffic, and I support that 100%. And we're very, as far as other arts, supported in town, like I said, our culture is our art in a degree, and ours is so different. We also have, believe it or not, murals throughout both Victor and Cripple Creek that depict our history, and people come up just to see those as well. So we're very proud of our culture. It's totally different than most areas, especially with our mining history. So we take advantage of that, and people are really drawn to it. So we're very fortunate. But I'd like to say, yeah, that's a hard one. And I don't know if a lot of people know that the Butte Theater has been, it's one of the last surviving theaters in the country that do the classic American melodrama. And they've been doing this for over 40 years. And so that's one piece of our history and culture and arts that people forget that we have up there. So you got to come see them. They're a phenomenal group, and they're all through the summertime. So that's about all I can say.
Thank you. We have two melodrama venues actually in the Pikes Peak region, in addition to the Butte Theater, Iron Springs Chateau in Manitou Springs. So if you had the over-under on 1.5, it's the over for a number of melodramas. Final question for you, Nico. Different communities and neighborhoods have different hurdles. We just heard Michelle talk about some of that. When it comes to this work, what are some unexpected ways that communities have leveraged their strengths?
Definitely. You've heard me talk a lot today about leveraging partnership and being able to collaborate in different forms. So really taking into account the arts, and I think that's something that CCI and the state is really interested in funding and getting behind supporting is the arts and. So arts and transportation, arts and health, arts and housing are all different areas that we've put enormous support into. We talked about the art space, or the space here in Colorado Springs that is being created. The housing space is arts and housing. But another area of focus I wanted to bring up was arts and transportation. One way that Lakewood was having some issues in terms of designating their creative district was promoting transportation safely around the area of West Colfax, where their designated creative district lives, and how they were going to get folks around the area to the different arts galleries and institutions there. So through support from the state, as well as collaboration with the city of Lakewood, the Creative District was able to seek and be granted an Art Place grant in order to fund this 4-mile 40 West Arts line. So on this bike path, they've implemented a lot of public art installations along the bike path, as well as this green line you'll see in the photo that connects the entire arts district and brings folks along the bike path to different galleries there. We have a similar transportation arts walking program in the Roaring Fork Valley in Carbondale with the arts district there. It's just one area that folks don't necessarily always think of, the transportation factor and how we'll get folks safely to different areas within their creative district. And that's just an area that I think deserves the extra highlighting in terms of a way to overcome those barriers to access that folks have.
Our final question is for everybody, and we're almost at time, so we're going to do two things. One, we're going to speed run through the three of you. And then secondly, this is for all of you to think about as well, not just our panelists. But the question is, what's the next concrete step you're considering? It doesn't have to be big, it can be itty-bitty, in interweaving arts and culture into your work surrounding tourism. We'll go down this way. Start with Alexia.
Okay, I hinted at this with the last question, but we are going to be doing some more things with COPPR for Arts Month. We are going to launch an Arts Month passport. So if you've ever downloaded our Crafts and Drafts drink passport, it'll be the same back-end platform, Bandwango, that we set that up on, and just really showcasing for visitors and for locals all of the new arts and culture experiences they can and should try out for Arts Month. So really excited to activate that.
Our office is putting some extra effort into spreading out into all four corners of the state. So we've designated staff members, regional representatives. We're hoping to provide additional outreach regarding our programs, really supporting artists and arts at every level, including direct funding to artists all the way up to capital programs like I had mentioned. So we'd really like to connect with folks in all areas and continue to be a resource to you all folks.
So we started last year talking to a local gallery in Woodland Park. Gail Gross has an amazing gallery down there, and she came up with this idea. It's called PAW, so Progressive Art Weekend. And that would be a weekend where you can start in Woodland Park. You can visit, there's, believe it or not, different galleries within Woodland Park. Come up to Victor, there's a gallery, Twin Flame Galleries in Victor. We'd like people to be exposed to the artwork in there. Have an art show at the Heritage Center, and make it a whole weekend to where we can expand and collaborate with more Teller County than we've ever had before. So that's kind of, I really want to push for that this year.
Reserve Art Gallery is the name of the gallery in Woodland Park, too. Yeah, very exciting. Okay, that's what we have. Want to do two notes for you real quick. We're right at 3 o'clock. We'll have a 15-minute break here as we wrap up, and then our closing plenary, Rick Griffith, will be happening after that. I'd like to thank you all for making the long commute from this room to this room, and then you will stay again in this room to finish that up. But please thank our panelists, and thank you for coming.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the closing plenary of the Level Up Creative Sector Summit. How were the breakouts? Yeah, I know I asked an open-ended question, but a cheer was a good response. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that you're meeting some interesting people here. Who has met someone that you haven't met before? Yes, right? Just like we were saying, it's finding solutions and finding community is our way forward as a creative sector. So thank you all for choosing to be here this afternoon with the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region for the Creative Sector Summit. Again, I'm Angela Seals, and I'm the Executive Director of the Cultural Office. We're so glad you're here. You belong here with all these good ideas and with each other. Today is sponsored by our gold sponsor, the Pikes Peak Community Foundation, and we really appreciate their support. And now I'd like to invite up on stage with me the CEO of the Community Foundation, Margaret Dolan. Margaret brings let's give a round of applause. Bring her up on stage with some bravo. Yes. Margaret has brought a unique range of financial, executive, and civic experience to the role of CEO at the Community Foundation since she joined our community in 2022. She has strengths in strategy and regional vision that I personally really appreciate as a leader who looks up to her leadership very much. And she's going to share a little bit of that with us now. So I'm going to turn the stage over to Margaret Dolan of the Pikes Peak Community Foundation.
Thank you, Angela. I'm so excited to see all you guys here. This is really amazing. So Angela was one of the first meetings I had when I took over as CEO of the Community Foundation. And I just found her to be a like-minded thinker. She thinks at a macro level, at a strategic level, and especially when it comes to the arts. And that's why the Community Foundation was so pleased to be able to sponsor this work to help you guys, the creative economy, take what you do, which is so critically important to our city and our way of life, our quality of life, and be able to make that a sustainable enterprise for each and every one of you. So we're very excited to be here. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention is we are doing, sorry, I have these in 2 languages, and I only speak one of them. So, so this is in Spanish, this is in English. We are spearheading, excuse me, a regional visioning effort. If you want to see a couple of examples, Google Envision Utah or Imagine Nashville. And the reason why the Community Foundation is doing this is we want to find out the things that are positively or negatively affecting the quality of life for the people in El Paso County and Teller County. We have a lot of partners in this effort, many different organizations, including the Cultural Office. Angela serves on our steering committee. And we have over 50 organizations that are similarly partnering with us so that we can get this survey out to as many thousands of people as we can convince to do the survey. We have a scientific survey that went live about 10 days ago, and we're trying to get 700 people to complete that survey so that we get the right statistical accuracy. And that should give us information plus or minus 3.8 percentage points accuracy. But what we're doing with this community-based survey is what I'd love for you to do. How many people have scanned the QR code already? Yay, thank you. But also just take a picture of it. I've got a couple of extra posters if any of you would like to put a poster in your favorite coffee shop or a restaurant. We want thousands and thousands of people to do this. I'll tell you a secret. Nashville got 10,000 surveys. That's a lot, and they're a lot bigger than we are. I moved here from Nashville, and I would love nothing more than to go back to them and say, we beat you. We're a smaller population, and we beat you. So please feel free, put this on your social media. Encourage everybody in your network, whether it's your faith community, your family, your friend groups, large employers, whoever. We want everybody to complete this survey. Again, thank you for the work that you do. We know that the creative enterprise adds exponentially to all kinds of things with our quality of life. It improves mental health. It improves people's general state of being. And we're really grateful for you, for the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have this also out in the lobby and at the COPPR info table during the resource fair so that you can take it. We all get tired of surveys. You get a survey every time you complete a transaction, it seems. But I'll tell you, these regional surveys, like right now there's a parks survey, imagine COS Parks going on. When these types of surveys come out and they hear that, oh, I really value that there's live events and public art in the park, it matters. So please speak up as a creative community. Speak up here, there, to the Our Spacious Skies survey, and speak up when they're asking, what do you value about this place? And tell them that you value the fact that there is arts, entertainment, belonging, festivals, arts education in the Pikes Peak region. All right. Well, I want to introduce our keynote speaker now. We are so honored to have Rick Griffith with us. He came down with Matter, his design studio, and they are in the lobby. You can meet them after his keynote today. Rick has been a fixture in the Front Range creative sector for 3 decades. He is sharing with us today a glimpse into the strategies that he provides for communities all over the United States. He speaks nationally, including colleges and universities, museums, and cultural institutions. regarding the creative sector and its value, how to thrive in working with us, and how to thrive within the creative sector. He is a former Denver Commissioner of Cultural Affairs, a public art policy chair, and the founder and partner of Matter, the ambidextrous design consultancy in Denver, that again you can meet during the resource fair today. Please join me with a warm welcome to the stage for Rick Griffith.
But I dance different, and I dance to different stuff. But that was truly impressive. My mouth was aghast. I was like, I can't wait. Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you, Dylan, wherever you are. I know you're still working hard. And thanks to the sponsors for this. I'm really grateful for being invited out. I do a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of stuff. I think I was pulled into the service of work or labor pretty young in life, and I come from a West Indian family. And it's sort of a joke, but it's not really a joke when someone says, you only have 4 jobs, are you lazy? And so, my mom grew me up with 4 or 5 jobs. I've always wanted to be ambidextrous, so instead of being able to write with both hands, I just do it for 18 hours a day. I love what I do, and you'll probably figure out that along the way. I'm skipping an entire biographical thing just to get into the stuff that we have to do together. And we have to figure out, I think, what is synchronization. I call it synchronization. I feel that synchronization is the work. And this is true, and this is true for sure. I really think we need to link up our best ideas. And one of the things that's not really being said a lot is that, this complex modern life we have really makes it easy for us to give up our ideas without collaboration. Collaboration isn't going as well as we hoped. The sharing economy isn't going as well as we hoped. Uber didn't just become the sort of less chatty version of Lyft. And when someone says share, they kind of don't mean a story on Instagram. They mean something else. And as Dr. Tatiana said earlier on, high touch, human contact stuff is going to be really important moving forward. It's also what we do well, because we're what? Humans, right, humans. So this is a warning. And I do think that this is a critical part of it. I think defining progress is something that, here's a really good example. You ready for this one? It's going to hit you. Defining progress is something in the 19th century that women would have liked to have been a part of. Defining progress has been something that Black people would have liked to have been a part of. And defining progress is what trans people would like to be a part of right now. What we call progress matters. Who benefits matters. And I do think that it's a foolish idea to not attend to the needs of this particular sector. I think if I asked 100 creatives what they want, I think they're going to say, not much. I think they're going to say, I don't want to be stressed out. I think they say, I want to be honored for my work. I think they say, I want a safe place to live. I think they say, I don't want to be exploited. And remember, just, several trillion-dollar industry. Not being exploited is exactly what women said, exactly what black people have said, and exactly what queer and trans people will say. Ready? It's hot. This is also true. There's a bunch of posters out front. No one's going to be denied access to them due to lack of funds, but they don't come out of God's thin air. They cost money. Pay something if you can afford it. The strategies are methods. This is to say that, I'm not telling you what to do at all. I'm telling you about the levers and the pulleys of a given situation. I'm telling you a little bit about my analysis and experience being in the creative field where the sausage is made, where the cow is fed, where the cow is born. Literally, I've done policy. I know how it's made. I get my confidence from a fairly honest place. I get the confidence to say this because I'm living longer than I ever thought I would. And I lost my wife 10 years ago. I had teenage kids. It was really stressful, as you could imagine. I found love again. That person lost their husband. It's a real thing. Grief, loss, death ends up being a bit of a love language for us. But I want you to think about life as being mostly long, because for me it already is. And this is the crew. And this is what we do, right? Now, I don't typically read slides, but I want you to know that those of you who identify in these categories, don't take the picture yet, there's a third slide. Those of you who identify in this category are going to enjoy some of the things we say about ourselves or we say about other people, like delightfully imaginative in every possible category of life. That is not to say that you are there to deliver a performance for a person. It is there to say that we are alive to figure some things out that other people don't want to figure out. We're alive to participate in our lives, in these things that we didn't get asked to participate in, we didn't get asked to be born. We're here to do it with as much imagination as we can muster, as we can find. And it's not just about what we make that you see, it's also what we make that you don't see. And admins, right? Committed to supporting creative activity with the small armies of capable advocates, right? Sounds perfect, and I want to hang out with those people. And then city makers, right? People responsible for generating value and growth who would prefer the wins to be connected, but they settle for a lot of unconnected, small successes, and those gaps are often filled by large organizations and companies, big business, which is why we share things on Instagram and why we participate in projects that kind of sort of have this exploitative vibe to them. And then we've got this, right? Artists are a persistent class of citizens, and we're largely just doing bless you, bless you, bless you. Is there four? Love you. I love you so much. I love you so much. But we're oftentimes making the coolest shit. We just really are. And, connectors who rely on non-competitive ideas, right? They're not trying to bring competition into the world of artists. They're trying to bring love, qualification, various forms of acceptance, and also they're trying to bring a kind of urgency, right? They're trying to bring urgency to the arts. We need it. They're trying to explain to people who aren't naturally sort of participating in it why. Well, and then decision makers with access to capital or influence or both. I mean, that's as plain and simple as it can be. And this is when you take this picture, that's your picture. And one day I'll make a much more rational version of this that'll show much more. But for now, it's bigger than that, right? There's lots of things going on. And also, you have to be able to imagine the relationships. And you have to be able to put these things together. You have to be doing this in your brain or with your friends, right? It changes all the time because it matters who's in the middle. If a city maker, if a financially stable person is in the center of the diagram, do they think about the money worry? No, but you put an artist in the middle and they're like saying affordable housing 3 times fast and clicking their heels. It matters what's in the middle of this. It matters who's in the middle of this. It matters whether or not we model it 2 or 3 times to generate actual, real empathy for the people who are involved, and then get them to the table, and then ask them, you know, what makes your day go well? Right? This is something that if you intend to plan a life, you're going to have to think of it much more sort of seriously, right? This is your ecosystem. The people in those charts and the people that you can imagine in your world, they're real to you. And when they change jobs, it's real to you. And I get here to this stage from a relationship I have with a former employee, right, who we talked about design for years together when they were doing their grad work. We've known each other for decades. And I get here because of relationships in my past. I know my ecosystem, and I know it even better when people I work with thrive and succeed. Strategy number 2. As long as we're talking about thriving and succeeding, we should also be thinking seriously about asking people what they want. Truly, right? What makes your day rock? How can I make it better? How can we do this in a way that is like consistent with us both winning and thriving? It's super important. And ethics needs to play a massive role in that. And I know it's super hard to get ethics as a federal program or anything that's got anything to do with the executive branch of government in this country. It's hard to find ethics in the places where we used to find heroes. And that's sad. That's super sad. But that is not a reason to behave poorly with each other. It's actually a reason to amplify your belief about who it is you should work with and what behavior you accept from them. Not kidding. I gave one super, super, super important piece of advice to my daughters. It was the girl with the highest standards always wins. That's it. I'm not going to tell you who to date. I'm just going to give you that little piece of truth. Right? The girl with the highest standards always wins. I like to be treated nicely. I don't mind being thought of in that sense. I have standards. And if they're not important to you yet, you're lucky. But they'll become important. This is me showing you my journey towards this ethics conversation and just a snapshot of what it means to think about this stuff relatively young in life. So, designers, graphic designers in the house, any of us? Yes, thank you. We are a petty, snarky bunch, for facts. That's just the way it is. You get a lot of communication, you got to filter it, you got to deal with it. This right here is what changed my life. I decided that I would give people an opportunity to not be sarcastic with me, to just know I have a standard for communication, and this is it. No sarcasm. Because it becomes untrustworthy, and if you've taken the time to read it, that's that. But then I also started to tell my team, this is who we are, this is what we do. These are the nouns that are associated with us. And the verbs, sorry, it was mostly verbs, there's one noun. But the point is, and then this, though reproducing rather poorly in the house, this is a chart of just our capacity, what we do. The small dots are things we've done, the big dots are things we do all the time. And then I developed this, 9 things, right? And this is good. It was letterpress printed. It felt important. I felt good about it. And I wrote very carefully. It was like, you know, the economy of words that's sometimes so difficult. I did well. And then I said, okay, what if we did this? And it started to be more and more rational. This is the thing I'm kind of getting at with you guys. It became quite rational. Don't take the picture yet. I got more for you. Trust me, I know when you got to take the picture. This became the 3 main points, right? I still make time for complexity as if it's a gift provided by the universe or a collaboration with my particular thinking style and the universe that I already live in. And when I say act as if every resource is scarce, I mean invent ways to share, not hoard shit. Invent ways to share, right? And this is the thesis. This is the #1 thesis. Because last month, I've been called a pain in the ass by my profession for many years. And after doing it for a decade straight, when the Museum of Modern Art calls you up and says, come have a chat with us about design ethics, you go, you mean about this? Cool. Because you don't know how much it's cost me to stick to this, right? You don't know how much it's cost me, right? I'm a melanated person whose ancestors and family have provided the world with its labor for centuries. For centuries. Of course I care if design, the thing that I do and the thing that I care about, of course I care if there are victims, because they're typically going to be people I'm related to. Or the tears of Bangladeshi children, other people's children. So anyway, I had to improve it. I worked on it really hard, and it became this. Ever so slightly decentering designers as an individual crew of people, and ever so specifically inviting everyone to be a designer. Because everyone is a designer if you let them. They might not be particularly good at typography and all the things that we care a lot about, but they can design a life. That's what I'm getting at. They can design a life. This is what's out there. This is what's available. Maybe I'll back it up one and give you a better picture. I'm so sorry about that. You know what? Free poster from me. Sorry, I screwed up the picture moment. Okay. Strategy number 3. How you do what you do matters, right? You know I'm going to keep on going deeper and deeper and deeper until we're just done, right? It's not going to be more and more surface, it's more and more deep. How you do it matters. I was asked by this organization called Reschool in Denver to sort of look at their work over a 10-year period and give them a synopsis of what was the thing that made their work so particular and special. And I said, I think I understand it. They said, we want to do workshops on this in Spanish and English, so we gathered all the research together that we were looking at in Spanish and English and put it in Miro, one of those platforms. And it's totally amazing. It's like got such deep insight inside of it. And then I came up with this. Boo. Well, you can read it. It's not so bad. This right here is called the triple loop. Basically, the tension exists at the center. 2 axes, one of awareness, one of action. Individual awareness is called self-awareness. Individual action is called listening. Community awareness is next. With that comes designing or co-designing or futuring together, right? And after that, system awareness. Of course, we are all in systems. We're all in economic systems. We're in an institution right now. We're in systems. And then continuous process improvement is the very thing that competes with systems that are outpacing our particular kind of action. You might have heard it from Dr. Tatiana earlier on. I don't think legislation is going to work here. I think tech moves too fast. Well, this is what she's talking about. Continuous process improvement is a way of kind of attending to the same thing over and over and over again to make sure that it doesn't move faster than the thing that's required to manage, govern, or control it. Anyway, I took it further. I created another really interesting chart that has people who are in ideal circumstances and people who are experiencing barriers to this kind of action. And we talk a little bit about that. That's how we develop an empathetic voice. And then some of those ideal circumstances are things like resources are managed in community, right? That comes back to the notion of like, oh, when we're talking about budgets, we should manage budgets inside the community we're serving, not just like kind of hold a budget ransom until someone gives you the lowest possible number. You know, like that's not really the way to work with each other and to thrive, right? And then barriers. Frustrated imaginations is a huge barrier for a lot of people that don't do creative work. Don't forget to make space for that. They're going to take a minute to get it straight, right? To get it clear in their head what the opportunity is. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't be listening. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be inviting people to the table. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing this important work in larger communities than just a handful of people, particularly people who are, you know, not experiencing the problem. Back to this, one more look at this. I've got this out there, yeah. This is the picture moment, if you like it. I don't know, it's a little bit weird. Number 4. This is like, can I get the house up for a second? Every graphic designer in the room stand up. Cool. These people, you should just take a quick look at them, maybe take pictures of them. Because they're in your community, and this whole segment is like for you to think about what they might be able to do with you. Thanks. House. So I've already done a ton of work about what design might be, and I say mental models are useful because they're super interesting teaching tools, and I begin my work with something like this, right? Someone's like, what's graphic design anyway? I go, well, you know, it's basically this. But the reason why this is so effective, right, is because it's handwritten, which means it's quite real. It's not a fabrication. It's not a slick surface, right? It's not done with like trade Gothic condensed 30, tracked out 30%, you know, with a leading of, you know, it's not like typography. It's just an idea, and it's reading left to right because that's how we read. It looks like, ding, progress. And then there's stuff like this, which is just me slowing my body down, painting words so I remember them, drawing words in various ways so I remember them, drawing and painting relationships with words so I have an awareness of how they're working together, using multiple colors, et cetera, until it gets to something like this, which is really trying hard to be rational, but it's happening live while I'm listening to a lecture. And then it turns into something like this, which is totally rational. It's a perfect teaching tool. It's full of content. Or something like this, which is a zoom in right here, and it just tells you, like, you know, year 2, knowing oneself and others, a comparative assessment of cultures, using religious texts and communication history, right? Because graphic designers in the room know that, like, we track printing back to philosophy and religion, right? Or something like this, intentionally awkward because the word tension lives in the word attention. Or something like this, which is intentionally shaped like something that's anatomical. It's intentionally shaped like something to crack, something to break, something to get invested in. And stuff like this, which doesn't start out clean, but ends up feeling clean. And this is what graphic designers do. At the very least, we're capable of taking important information and having an idea about how it might want to be organized. And we love, I'm telling you right now, we love learning. We're huge fans of gaining new expertise from the things that we make, aren't we? We're huge fans. And I've been doing this for 30 years now, so I'm used to doing things irrationally and then making them rational. I'm used to the idea of giving them shape and form and ideas and then making them into teaching tools that other people can use too. This is the why. Because if you think we're responsible for several $1 trillion, which is cool, I mean, yeah, we're kind of cool like that, aren't we, guys? I mean, the reason why is because we are value. We are the value. Why do you think the Image Factory came to us? Why do you think Instagram looks so slick? Who do you think made LinkedIn? Right? Designers did that. And you've got them, but if you let them all work for the platforms, you'll be living in a platform-full world. You need to have some homegrown, sparking up idea shit going on, and you need to bring your graphic designers into it as a critical part of your atmosphere. They can bring value to you, I assure you. You guys aren't going to turn me into a liar, right? We really know how it's done. It's kind of gotten away from us into Canva and all this nonsense, but truly, people who interpret information for a living, who have been trained towards complexity, won't find anything that you're doing intimidating. And you could be crazy, but it would come out maybe later. Right? It wouldn't be a criticism of a brand new, fantastic idea. Sometimes the work we do has to form itself around the idea. This is what I'm kind of teaching you guys. I really think it matters how we do it. It matters who we do it with. It matters that we do it ethically. This is a community, right? That's what you guys are. That's what we are, you know? We should learn how we want to be communicated with. We should embrace each other deeply. We should move more and more stuff off of platforms and more just onto products that are in our community, built by us, owned by us, no stress. And just so you know, it's possible, right? Like, I was around when the internet was born, and I used to code some HTML, and I read this crazy new philosophy book called After the Internet. And it just reminded me of how platform-centric everything got. So you know what I did? I fired up my Unix server. I started coding again. And so I was writing every day. I was collaging every day. I was printing every other day. And now I'm coding every other day. And I'm taking the stuff that I make, and I'm not even putting it on Instagram anymore. Not that I'm any good at Instagram, I just kind of suck at it. But I'm actually taking the time to put all the stuff that I make and stuff that I do in a place that's not surveilling you, right? And you're there because you want to see it. I came and said hello to you. I said, I really like that scarf. I really like those spectacles. We got to meet each other. You were like, what's your blog thingy thing you talked about? I go, it's called .com. You know? And you went there and you're like, Rick's kind of crazy. But I miss the internet of 1999. It's just the way I am. Okay? Let things be complex. They are anyway. This is the first record I bought with my own money. This is the book that changed my life about graphic design. This is me at 16 years old. I know I have the opposite hairdo. Things that we didn't talk about today. My brilliant partner, Deborah Johnson. None of my life happens without her love and her labor. Our letterpress print shop in Denver, the bookstore we own and run. You can get a bookmark from Tegan, the book clubs and discussions we host, the music radio show I do every week on a Tuesday at 4 p.m., the seminars we teach every month, the love that we have for zines, the project we call Turn Proofs to Power, the nonprofit we have called For Thinking Persons, everything we're trying to fund, and our desire for everyone to thrive. Thank you.
appreciate you.
Sure.
Just brilliant voices, just so many ideas kind of surging through the Ent Center for the Arts today. And you know, that's not uncommon for the Ent Center for the Arts, but I'm really feeling it, the gathering of, I don't think we have time. Yeah? For a
Is
few
there
minutes?
one very urgent question?
Can we have house lights up for a second?
I'm
Rick-
really
Rick wants
interested
to
in
talk.
some feedback. I'm still a creative. I still have this low self-esteem
Let's
thing
have
that
a con-
sometimes.
okay.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not. I don't suffer from that. But that's just that's a joke. But is there an urgent question? I got time for one.
Yeah, let's talk. What hits you? I know it's hard. It's hard.
What is the?
Do you drink
So
coffee?
much coffee. Cool. Thank you so much. I'll be out there.
Thank you. He'll be outside. Thank you, Rick. I hope that you are feeling nourished by this kind of sparkling couple hours of ideas that we've put together for you, of relationships. You were supposed to feel like a lot of things were bouncing and ricocheting around. Here we're doing economics, here we're doing a lot of philosophy, here we're talking about tourism, right? Because all of that is just supposed to percolate. And some of it was kind of heavy. And so we're gonna end in a really uplifting way, because what's about to happen is you're gonna take all of those ideas and you're gonna go out together, flowing into the lobby, and you're going to have a drink of some kind and some delicious food. And I want you to stay and choose each other and give each other attention for a little bit. After listening, because it's not just about consuming, it's also about what we do with it, right? What are we going to do with this summit? What are we going to do with these amazing speakers and the fact that we were present together for a minute? Let's do something with it. And let's begin in a few minutes out there. All right? And then let's keep doing something with it. Let's keep working together as a creative sector to say that we matter, to teach people how, and to show up when it's time, and to level up together here in the Pikes Peak region. Rick's keynote was sponsored by AAF Colorado, that's American Advertising Federation, Colorado Springs chapter. So I want to thank them for showing up for us today. Thank you. They're also out there, so you can meet them and learn what AAF can do for you, either in joining them as a member or in commissioning some fabulous work from designers in our own community. I want to thank all of our sponsors today for the Level Up Creative Sector Summit, and I want you to look at these folks because see, now I'm following Rick and I'm just staring at my own slide. There's something enchanting about that. All of these people believe in the creative sector. When we told them we were having a creative sector summit, they came on board and helped us do it. Isn't that amazing? See that people believe in our sector. And please support them by stopping by their tables and saying hello and looking them up online and thinking how you could work with them in the future. I want to thank the Ent Center for the Arts and their incredible team, our colleagues. Thank you all so much for hosting us today and hosting us through 6 p.m. I want to thank the board of the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region who are here and who are not here. All 13 of you are profoundly inspiring to me and to the Cultural Office. Thank you for your service to us. I want to thank the staff of the Cultural Office. We are 5. We are 3 full-time and 2 part-time, and we just have a gorgeous ensemble right now. So thank you to the staff, and especially to Dylan Craddock, who's our program manager of Creative Economy. Yeah. And thank you to all of the 24 resource tables that are joining us today in hopes of connecting with creatives. Please stop and say hello to them. I also just wanted to invite you to something next. Remember we were talking about, well, what are we going to do next with this good energy? Well, The Southern Colorado Impact Group hosts an annual awards ceremony for social impact businesses, many of whom are creative, called the Prism Awards. And this year, they have chosen to make the Prism Awards about creative business. And it's on July 17th. So, right? Yes, this is the magic. Like when we're all talking to each other and working together, these kind of neat intersections can happen. And so that Prism Awards is coming up on July 17th. It's from 4:30 to 7:30 at the Meanwhile block in downtown Colorado Springs. And so come out and support and also nominate each other for the awards. And the deadline is Friday for the award nominations, so let's make sure we get a lot of incredible stories from the creative sector into those nominations. Thank you so much to Southern Colorado Social Impact Group and the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado for your partnership. Now, it's my great joy to end this with some art. And it's uplifting art. And it's voices from today, but also voices from the future, because it's children. The Colorado Springs Children's Chorale is here with us today. They have been a cornerstone of artistic excellence and youth development for decades. And truly, there are leaders among them, I can tell you, because we have an alumni of the Colorado Springs Children's Chorale on the staff of the Cultural Office. They have a rich history of nurturing young talent and fostering deep love for music. And we just really wanted to send you out with 2 songs that would put air under your wings. And when they're finished, you can head right out and enjoy some food and great company. Thank you again for coming to the Level Up Creative Sector Summit. And now, thank you. And now the Colorado Springs Children's Chorale.